Linda Moulton Howe. She's been an advocate in the truther community for... I always love that cat. I love when they get all pleasureful and pleasurable because their eyes just close, unlike Linda Moulton Howe's, which I'm going to get to in a second. But Linda Moulton Howe, she has been a fixture in the alien truther community for a really, really, really long time. And I've always been fascinated by her. I think she was one of the first female UFO researchers that I ever heard of. And the first time I ever read of or knew of her name was in the William Cooper book, Behold a Pale Horse. And as you can see, that's it right here. It was kind of funny because I was introduced to this book when I was in my 20s. I used to go to this coffee shop. It was this coffee shop that was really, really ambient, and it had, and you know, when I was in my 20s, it was so funny because I went there, it was just after I graduated from college and I was looking for a job. So I went to this coffee shop like maybe a few weeks before I graduated, and I put in an application, and I loved the ambiance. And it's like this coffee shop it's a coffee house, H-A-U-S, like in the German sense, and it's open until 2 a.m. and it's just got the couches and the lamps and the ambient lighting, and it's even got a forest room in the back. So it's this room decorated like a forest. It's got trees and it's got a lamp in it that looks like a full moon. It's really, really cool. It didn't have that then, and it has a pool table. And I'm notoriously bad at pool, but I have so much fun playing anyway. So anyway, I used to go to this coffee shop, and my first Mandela effect occurred when I went there and applied for a job about 2 weeks before I graduated, and there was all this art and all these paintings of the Flintstones on the wall, which I know is a Mandela effect. And I went back a few weeks later, and the Flintstones paintings had been replaced with something else. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell? But little did I know, this was my first introduction to a coffee house that also doubled as an art gallery. And they would sell people's art, and they still do it today. So it's been around for quite some time. But regardless, I was introduced to Behold a Pale Horse because I was really into alien abductions. It's like my first intro to otherworldly studies and disclosure type fascinations when I was a kid, when I was in my 20s. So I was really fascinated by it, and there was this barista there who would always give me free drinks. Like, I would walk in and I would sit up at the bar and I would just talk to him or whatnot, and he would go, would you like a free drink? And I'm like, well, I'm really not going to stay that long. He's like, would you like a free drink? And I'm like, okay. And now that I think back on it, he might have been flirting with me, but he was really gentlemanly and stuff like that. But my story does have a point, and I'm getting to it. But anyway, he told me one of the best alien books was Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. Lo and behold, and little did I know it would have a lot more stuff in it aside from alien abductions, which I would later become equally, if not even more, fascinated by. And the weird thing about the William Cooper book is that I remember I started reading it one day in the cafe, and the lighting was dim and ambient, and the music was just very, very haunting. And I read all about William Cooper's childhood, about his devout faith, and about just William Cooper was very, from what I remember, constitutionalist. He was very mom nurturing, apple pie, Americana, that type of thing. I'm not totally that kind of conspiracy theorist, if I were to be that, but it was still fascinating to listen to him talk about things and listen to how he thought the government and the military was totally honest until he had one too many sightings of UFOs and was told to be quiet about it. Long story short, the funny part was that the guy who told me to read this book and introduced me to it was, again, the barista of the coffee shop that I frequented, and his name was Michael. And Michael would go on to play Gunther in Central Perk on Friends. So that was kind of a little interesting aside. But getting back to Linda Moulton Howe. So Linda Moulton Howe, I just noticed something about her, and I've seen this before in other older ladies who've maybe had a lot of plastic surgery or whatnot. Well, I saw it in one other lady who's had a lot of plastic surgery, and she was a Hollywood starlet when I went to a celebrity party. And that is, they have a very, very fast rate of blinkage. I mean, look how much she's blinking. even aside from back in the beginning. In the beginning, she didn't blink so much, I think, because she had her cat with her, and the cat was relaxing to her. But she blinks a lot. Look like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. Anyway, and it's just really fascinating. And it could be, I mean, it looks like she has heavy makeup on, so it could be that she has a shit ton of mascara. And it could also be something else. Sorry, it's a little blurry. Because I looked it up on Google, excessive blinking can be caused by problems with the eyelids or anterior segment front surface of the eye, habitual tics, refractive error, need for glasses, intermittent extropia, which I'm not sure what it is, I would have to look it up, or turning out of the eye and stress. It is very rare for excessive blinking to be a sign of an undiagnosed neurological disorder. So that's good. But irrespective of that, I just noticed that she was blinking a lot. And it harkened me back to, one other thing I did want to mention about Linda Moulton Howe is that I always wanted to like her, and I never disliked her, it's not that. I always wanted to like her. She's always been on George Norrie, and she always had all these fascinating sounding things to talk about. So I would tune into George Norrie, and I would always say to myself, I'm going to listen this time. I'm really, really, really going to listen. And I never could listen because her cadence was always kind of like this. Like a really boring school teacher, like the school teacher in E.T. that gave out the frogs and Henry Thomas freaked out, or should I say Elliot freaked out because they were going to kill the frogs and dissect them. But anyway, I could just never focus on what she was saying. And then that coupled with the blinking, and again, I'm not making any allegations, I'm just exploring here, hence the name, Gensploration. So it harkened me back to this, organic robotize. So anyway, it harkened me back to this. Organic robotize. I can't even say it. Organic robotides. Robotoids are real by Peter Better. Anyway, I remember a few years back, stumbling upon this, organic robotoids. And one of the things that they said the organic robotoids do is blink a lot. Now again, I'm just exploring. I'm not saying that's what's going on here. And she seems to be, oh no, there she's blinking even more there. I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but I just find it fascinating because that is like a really, really, really unusually high blink rate. And then I discovered a couple of other things. Oh yeah, and it's like a Seinfeld character. The bionic blinker. She's a bionic blinker. I can barely talk to her. Can she even see me when I talk to her? Like she's got her eyes closed more than half the time. I don't know, I'm always thinking of Seinfeld episodes in my head and how to relate them to real life. So I looked up Linda Moulton Howe blinking, and of course, the first thing that pops up is this, Blink 182's Tom DeLonge, Earth Files, Linda Moulton Howe, A Reptilian Now. This came from a website called Gish Gallop, and obviously it's like an onion of paranormal crap, but I just thought it was kind of funny, and it was just weird seeing the juxtaposition. So basically what it says is, Albuquerque, New Mexico, that's a hotbed of alien activity. Earth Files News is a paranormal news reporting site focusing on investigative reports and alien and UFO sightings. Earth Files contributor and former Blink-182 guitarist Tom DeLonge has discovered disturbing news about EarthFiles.com founder and alternative investigative reporter Linda Moulton Howe. Tom DeLonge spoke with Gish Gallop regarding his findings. In my secret meetings with government operatives, it came out that Linda is in fact reptilian, said Mr. DeLonge. She was planted here to mislead and confuse humans about aliens within our world governments. Oh boy. Tom would not reveal his sources, but did say that the information came from the little gray men who are sympathetic to humans. There has been no comment or sightings of Miss Howe at the time of his writing. Oh, no kidding. And then just around that same time, around the same search, I did find this very interesting picture of her as well with the slightly reptilian eyes. Now, I told you that story. To tell you this one. Speaking of Linda Moulton Howe and her being one of the first women that I ever associated with alien abduction research, cattle mutilations, UFOs, all that stuff. She, of course, was first mentioned in the Behold the Pale Horse William Cooper book. Now, I'd read a bunch of stuff about William Cooper, that he was always getting in accidents and so on and so forth, suspicious activity, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And years later, I would be riding on a bus, and I looked, and I saw this guy carrying a book, and the book just happened to be William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse. And he gets off several stops before mine, and he's got a leg brace on, hence the injury, and he gets off the bus. And I looked at him, and I thought to myself as soon as he got off the bus, oh my God, I think that's William Cooper. And obviously, you know, it's weird. You think, well, why would William Cooper be taking public transportation? Well, the dude can't drive. He's got his leg in a sling. Well, it wasn't really a cast. It was like one of those boot type things. And not only that, he got off in front of a really, really, really underground radio station that does not even take commercial contributions like it does all of its... What am I trying to say? It does all of its money raising by fundraising, allegedly. But even still, it doesn't even do the chevrons. Like, it's beyond PBS and NPR and all that other kind of stuff. So I saw him, and that was really, really weird. And he was carrying his book. And I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really play into with the story, but I just thought that was a really, really interesting thing that happened. And also, too, if you want to go back to eyes and older women, I was at a Hollywood celebrity party once, and I saw these two actresses who used to be totally famous and on TV, and one of them had very, very, very small pupils. And we were in a shaded area, so it was really, really strange. And the other one, I couldn't see her pupils at all, which was even stranger. So now the one with the smaller pupils could have had a medical situation going on. So just to cover all our bases, well, as many bases as we can in a short little video like this, the pupil is the black center part of the eye. Duh, pupils get larger, dilate in dim light, and smaller, constrict in bright light. And again, I was not in a brightly lit area. Also, the underlying disorder sometimes causes other symptoms such as eye pain, redness, loss of vision. So it's called anisocoria. And that's really weird because it looks like only one pupil is dark, but it's weird because her eyeballs themselves were like really, really light color, like both of these women's were. And one had very small pupils and one had no pupils, which was very strange. So that's pretty much it, and just my hodgepodge of things that I'm exploring and examining today. I love this spacescape. I love the roundness of the planets. And I know a lot of people in the truther community think that the Earth is flat, and I don't know what that says about other planets, but before going today, I did just want to leave you with this. I was talking to somebody who is sort of on the outskirts of the fringe of the truther community, and he basically had this to say. He had this observation. He also used to be in the military, and he basically said that the truther community is being steered away from thinking of a round Earth. And again, do with this information with what you will. The truther community is being steered away from thought of a round Earth because two-dimensional reality is easier to steer than a three-dimensional reality. And so it's easier for mind control if people believe we live on a flat plane. And the thing that I find so beautiful about planets and their possibility is that a globe is pretty much the only shape that has infinite sides. And a perfect circle is really, really hard to make, except in nature, supposedly, and so far of what we've been told. So in any case, that's just me, just exploring. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you've observed. What do you know about Linda Moulton Howe? And that's about it. That's about it. Peace, love, and hot chocolate. The season's coming. All right, peace out, guys.